right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Daybreak, a legendary map, voted Map of the Year in the Team Liquid Map of the Year voting contest, and also nominated for an Academy Award. This is Quantic.Illusion. He is in the orange trunks, and he is playing Terran to the northeast. Versus his opponent, it is the one and only StarCraft in the red trunks, playing Protoss to the southwest.
And Squirtle has basically been able to do whatever he wants. That was an interesting little move, too. He moved out his probe really early to move up. I didn't know if he was going to drop down some sort of a forward pylon there for a second, or just a little bit more forward than he normally would have, but it looks like he reconsidered and pulled back, so... So
it's the totally standard forge fast expand against Terran. You know, that's
oh, yes,
nothing unusual about that.
Yes, no.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it on ladder, see what happens.
Yes.
Like, you know, I love being in a position of power when it comes to StarCraft, because I can influence people to do really terrible and bad things.
It's kind of like I've always imagined, you know, with the, and we always talk about, you know, like Day 9's Fun Day Mondays.
Yes.
Clearly he has like purpose behind them. He wants to expose people to new strategies and like gets the ball rolling at that. Yes, but sometimes it's just so much fun to troll people.
Well,
so
you think it's just some kind of narcissistic power projection there from Sean there? Yeah, that very well might be. It's like he is the evil overlord. Like, how can I screw with the metagame today? Yeah, I can just see him sitting in a robe and wizard's hat while coming up with these ideas.
And I love Sean for it, too.
Indeed.
So, Sean, if you're listening, much love from everyone at the IPL crew. Well, it's gas once again for Illusion, and we've seen this once before. It was game number 2. It was in Tomb Valley. He did proxy at Barracks at the same time. Not going to go for it this go-around.
Nope.
So we'll see if this becomes a quick tech expand, or if he's going to save up that 100 gas and go straight for a factory.
The question is, what do you do with the factory? And there was a time when Hellion versus Protoss was extremely effective. And in fact, this is actually something that I used to see DDE do an awful lot. On the American ladder, he would go red or blue flame heli against Protoss, and it actually worked pretty well. But I don't know, from this position, there's a possibility of Banshee, cloaked or uncloaked. I mean, we haven't seen a second gas come down as of yet. Maybe an uncloaked Banshee, nothing necessarily wrong with that. I'm just keeping an eye on that SCV to see if there's any crazy proxy nonsense going down. Here comes the factory right there. Factory's also not nearby to the barracks, so I suggest at this point that it will be a starport play on that basis.
I have to agree with you.
Or maybe it won't.
Well,
damn it, Illusion.
I still think it will be, because when you put your structures over here like this, this point is the closest you can get to your opponent's base without actually proxying it. So we have a second gas on the way. It's going to be tech. Now, this could be that Marine Hellion medevac drop that we've seen out of a lot of players recently, too. Regardless, I still think we're going to see a starport involved here very soon.
We very well might, but the thing is, why build? It's a combo build one way or the other. Why build that reactor if you're going straight for Cloak Banshee? There's no real explanation for that. Marine, or indeed Marine Hellion, just basically a 1-1-1 is a possibility at this stage. Here's the swap around coming. So yeah, it is going to be Hellion. It could just be a Hellion drop. I mean, maybe we're just overthinking it here.
Could very well be. I think that is certainly a possibility. Now, he could add on a few Marines with this as well, scoot the Hellions down the map and just reinforce with the medevac.
Yeah, and do an elevation instead of just wandering across the entire map with a bunch of Hellions. I mean, there's actually no point in putting Hellions in a medevac unless you're near the base, because the Hellions are going to move quicker anyway, so why would you do that?
And he does have a ton of gas saved up, and he is continuing to get that at quite a rate. Now, there we go. Yeah,
there we go. That's why I thought it's kind of weird for this just to be a red flame Hellion drop. Why do you go double gas on that necessarily? I'm intrigued.
This is interesting, too, because Squirtle's a little bit afraid. Not afraid, but he wants to stay more defensive. Whenever you see a Protoss player drop down those second and third gates early on, like mid-20s supply, something like that, it means they think that there's something headed their way. So Squirtle's going to try and react appropriately by having a few more units out on the field.
Well, here comes the tank lab coming out, so let's see what he decides to actually do with that. And it will just be a straight-up red flame Hellion drop, which I believe was spotted immediately there by the probe, actually. The probe was right there, so this is going to be spotted. Admittedly, well, actually, he's got Stalkers in position, so I was going to say, well, not a lot of time to respond to that, because Hellions are pretty quick, but this is a big map. People seem to think Daybreak isn't. It is. It's huge, actually. So it does take a while, even if you happen to be a Hellion, and yeah, Hellion, Banshee. So Cloak Banshee did eventually come out. I was half right, but yeah, I would definitely say that that's a positive, a reasonable little build there. But will he be able to do any damage, more to the point?
he doesn't just have to do a little bit of damage, he has to do a lot of damage, because if he doesn't kill a significant amount of workers, you know, Squirtle's going to have this base for so long. He's going to be able to double produce workers. Yes, Illusion is expanding, but he has expended a ton of resources and time to get this drop and these Cloak Banshees out.
Yeah, let's see if he can pull anything off with that. We've got a little bit of engagement here, nice little bit of micro by Illusion with those red Flame Hellions, but that also gives position information to Squirtle, who now has an observer on the field and is sensibly building a second one, which will most likely just stick around at the base. So I don't know if this cloak's going to work out so well.
We'll certainly find out. It's still got about, 15 seconds before it finishes up. And as we can see, Illusion going into siege tanks afterwards. This is that Nada style that we saw for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a 1-1-1 there. So let's see how it goes. All right, there's a quick pick up. A couple of SCVs and a... what was that force field all about? I guess I mean, that was actually after they were picked up, but maybe it was just a knee-jerk force field. And there are certain areas where you can get in. The Observer is not actually out yet.
Ooh, nice.
Nice. I like the fact that he picked up the Sentry there. Very, very good indeed. Now taking damage. He needs to get out there immediately. He's not going to get out of there, I don't think. Oh, never mind. That was barely surprising. Oh, he's taken his life in his hands right there. And no more Banshees to follow this up. It's just going to be Marine Tank. Never mind. There's another Banshee. Illusion hasn't done a huge amount. How many workers have we seen killed yet? Only a couple, surely.
Yeah, it looks like 4 of them have been killed. He's down by 7 workers right now. He finally does have a second base ready, and he has a strong force. Not a lot of upgrades with that. It's unupgraded Marines. It's siege tanks with siege mode, but not much else other than that. Obviously, no engineering bay down quite yet. But this is still, I mean, he's following up this big push that we've seen, and it looks like the Banshee did get picked off by those Stalkers.
Yeah, well, it was bleeding pretty hard anyway, and there's no real way to get it out of there safely. This map is quite tight to the walls, as it were, especially at the back. Another Banshee is now moving in, and let's see how much damage it can really do. That's nice, because he's drawn the Observer out of position here, so he'll be able to utilize the cloak, but he's getting a little bit skittish. I guess, oh, wow, are there actually 3 Observers on the map?
Yes.
I guess there are.
Yes, 4. 4, wow, okay.
Okay, someone's paranoid.
Well, with good reason, I suppose. I mean, Squirtle can afford to make those as well, because he knows that Illusion dumped so much money into trying to get these set that if he's able to defend against these, which he is, this is, I mean, think about this. This is actually 600 resources that's just sitting there in a medevac that can't be used. 600 resources and 10 supply.
In a big metal box that is vulnerable to attack, so might want to watch out there, honestly. Push comes in, though, so the slowest 1-1-1 in history, one might say, actually, but an effective one. You get some great visibility with the Banshees. You get some exceptional firepower and AoE. This is threatening, certainly, and he's even expanding behind this again. If he does damage with this, then that puts him ahead.
Yeah, it certainly will. But he needs to do damage. Once again, I mean, his opponent is amassing a pretty good force now. Squirtle's playing his strategy to a hilt. 5 gateways up now. He's got Immortals. He's got Charge on the way. Quite a bit of gas starting to be saved up. So, once again, Illusion will need to do damage here pretty soon.
Yep, and he is, well, here come the SCVs again. He's not sending that many, but he does have some with the Force. This is actually a time when that's useful, since there is no AoE on the map yet in order just to completely decimate that. So this push could very well do significant damage, and it's interesting to see the amount of builds Illusion's obviously got to deal with this matchup. It's just none of them are quite enough to really do the job.
Oh, we'll see here. This is a powerful position for him to be in, especially if he can play that delay game, and it looks like he's actually just going to back up at the moment. So he's content with that, not going to be able to drop in the medevac, but maybe able to get it out of there at the very least, and that's a nice little escape for him.
Yeah, I guess. You know, that's okay. And if he actually holds that third base and he's keeping Squirtle bottled up on 2, then that's fine too. I'm all right with that. He's already got that base operational. That's going to be over a minute, and hello.
He's going to play Mech TVP. Somewhere Artosis is cheering, and I hope he's watching this, because this is fun stuff.
Yeah, and it can work. I've seen it work. It just doesn't work very often. And I have to wonder if it's going to work against a player like Squirtle, more to the point.
That's actually very true, especially as the third Nexus coming down now. He's been playing his strategy very confidently. Immortals are just devastating against most things that pop out of a factory. So this is a risk from Illusion, certainly, but I like the fact that he's taking it.
Well, that may catch Squirtle off guard. I mean, it is Mech TVP. It's not amazingly common. It's usually not very common because there are 4 Immortals right there. That's one reason not to play it. He's gone up to 5 factories. He is really going for it on this one. He doesn't have Blue Flame Hellion. He is at least now starting to work on armory upgrades. He's mixing Ghosts in as well, so it's an odd hybrid style. He is preparing for the very real possibility that he's going to run into Templar, which he will.
And this is... Oh!
Very nice.
Never mind. I was about to say, this is cool because he can keep his opponent pinned in his base, but then Squirtle says, no, thank you.
Yeah, great feedbacks right there. And unfortunately, going in... I don't know. I wouldn't even criticize Illusion for doing that, honestly, because who would have seen that one coming, especially at that kind of speed? That was incredibly good there by Squirtle. And you can sink that energy to try and prevent that from happening, but really that just doesn't make any sense in that situation. Now... All right, so Mech, really, really nice against a lot of Zealots, needless to say, because you can barbecue them very quickly, and you also have that tank support in the background there. So I have to wonder if we're going to see a few less. In fact, I imagine we will see a hell of a lot less Zealots in this case. Maybe see a lot more Stalkers, maybe see a lot more Archons. I'm intrigued. We haven't seen any real damage done here by Illusion as of yet, though.
And nor have we seen a Mech TVP player in quite a while, so...
Nope.
Maybe goody, but that's about as good as it gets.
Ran right back through that as well, taking a lot of damage. Those Hellions burning pretty badly. Does a little bit poking in here and there. This is when we need the SCVs off the line to actually fix those up. Yeah. But we haven't seen that as of yet from him this time around. Adding Ghosts into the mixes, it's a very weird mixture. It's very reactive, actually, I think, to the composition that his opponent's putting together.
But it can work. I mean, I like this. I mean, I think if there's anything that... Now, of course, people will probably drive me for saying this, but if there's anything that a lot of Mech compositions need, it's additional bio units.
Yeah, obviously. You know, what else would you use? I'll tell you what, this actually, surprisingly, most people don't seem to get this. Hellions are not terrible against Immortals. They're actually not that bad.
Yeah, they don't take that much damage, so...
Yeah, they're all right. They're okay. But... here's this weird little push coming in. There's nowhere near enough units to actually make this work. He's trying to draw it into the tank fire. He's able to get a couple of decent shots off here, so he's trading fairly efficiently.
Yeah, but he is extending quite a bit, and it looks like Squirtle wants to go
for it. There are like 5 or 6 Immortals in this composition, so I think maybe he might be taking the piss just a little bit. A nice blink up to the top, and smashes his force to pieces. And, well... what are we looking like at units lost? Because, I mean, Illusion did do quite a lot of damage there. Units killed pretty good. What about the resources?
Let's see. Units lost. 8,000 resources lost to 5,400.
Okay, it was actually bad. Never mind. Well, I was hoping it's like, oh, well, that was really efficient. But no, actually, sadly, it was not. But still, what is the answer to all of these Immortals? Well, there isn't really any at the moment. The 4th base being just taken out there. Some snipes go off to try and take the Templar out. They're able to do so. Ghost taking fire in the process. But... this strategy, while cute, doesn't seem to have really gotten him anywhere yet.
Well, let's see where we're at. Yeah, 94 SCVs. You have to keep such a high SCV count just to make Mech strategies work. So if you actually take that out, Squirtle does have the larger force at the moment.
Yeah, you need to pump those Hellions out, and of course in Heart of the Swarm we'll be seeing Battle Hellion, and this strategy might be much more viable, especially with the additional Warhounds into the composition. But at the moment, Hellions just don't buffer damage all that well, and when you take Zealots out of the mix, you've got to wonder, well, what are Hellions really going to do a lot of damage to, especially with Blue Flame? And the answer is not Stalkers.
Well, Squirtle now has a very dominant position on the map. He was sitting next to the Xel'Naga Towers, who could deny the space just by his sheer presence of being there. And it looks like Illusion hasn't been able to find much success to get that back out there. He's going to try right now, but this command center is actually 48 hit points away from being on fire, so he'll have to protect that quite well.
Not an ideal position, quite frankly, and I'm sure it breaches several San Francisco health and safety regulations, but I don't think Illusion really cares about that too much at the moment. That's actually going to get this around using Hellions like Zerglings. Nice little move there by Illusion to bring that down, but at the moment it's small victories for him, and he's not able to get anything decisive out onto the field as Squirtle takes his 4th base and builds up that tech composition that he's really looking for.
Yeah, Squirtle just taking his 4th and also putting up his 5th at the same time. Now, those command centers are already finished up for Illusion. He's repairing this planetary fortress in the middle, but obviously not able to take that base down at the bottom right quite yet. A nice little task force of stalkers sitting there in preparation.
Well, the question is, where does Illusion go from here? We've got Dark Templar coming on the field for Squirtle. We're going Warp Prism as well. And Mech seems like it would be a really mobile force, but the problem is you've got to worry about the tanks and the positioning of the tanks.
Oh, and look at this. As soon as Illusion pulls all of his forces out of position to deal with those Stalkers, Squirtle moves
punch
right through the front.
Exactly what he should be doing here as well, because again, the tanks aren't in position. Now they deploy, but the Stalker's now moving around the flank as well, as you can see on the minimap, dealing some pretty significant damage to these Hellions, and of course caring not about Hellion damage, no way at all. So that's not a problem for him. And it's been thrown back at the moment. Nice pick off of several Hellions and a siege tank in the natural of the one and only Illusion here. But
yeah,
it's really weird, kind of indecisive sort of move. And how much damage was done to the mineral line?
Let's see here. Workers killed now up to 16, so he picked off about 10, 15 workers there.
So that's all right.
Like that. Yeah, actually it was 14. He was at 94 before that engagement. Now at 80 SCVs, so.
Still not bad. I mean, 80 SCVs plus mules is a decent position to be in, and as you pointed out, Mech does need a lot of SCVs. You need a ton of minerals to actually keep this up, but you can also supplement there quite nicely with mules. And now comes the war of positioning. Squirtle sitting on 5 bases. His opponent on 4.
Whoa, and warping in 7 Dark Templar at the same time.
Lot of DTs. Did he put missile turrets down? Please tell me, where are the missile turrets, Illusion? Where are they?
I don't see any of them, as a matter of fact. And it looks like some are making their way down into the bottom as well.
Oh, there's none there either.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear. You know, I guess when you've got this many orbitals, you think, well, you don't really need that. But I would at least put one on your planetary fortress. Because if you don't, then horrible things occur. And they're the missile turret going down, but getting stabbed horribly in the process. And some significant damage and economic disruption putting in here, and there comes the DT into the main base, and a big, hefty push coming on that planetary fortress.
Planetary fortress getting surrounded right away by SCVs, and it looks like that is enough temporarily to hold back Squirtle, but he's continuing to do damage with a couple of DTs here. This has proven to be very effective, and the Warp Prism's coming right back.
Yes, it is. Could see some more DTs, or just some charging zealots actually would be fairly effective here, but a big push comes in once again from the one and only Illusion, who has a hefty tank count with a lot of upgrades, but his economy is getting gutted here. His third base is taking a pounding at this stage, and we might end up going for a base trade here with the amount of damage that's been done.
We'll see if he can do enough damage to his opponent's army to inflict such a base trade. Very nice
so many EMPs
hitting. But Storm's ravaged that front line of forces pretty well.
God, I would not want to be SCVs in that particular composition, and I don't like that deployment decision actually either. I would have kept them mobile. The DPS against those immortals would have been better, but I guess it doesn't really matter at this stage. GG once again.